So in today's practicals we are going to learn about the grooming standards, and this is basically the grooming standards which is followed in the food and beverage service department, and especially it is concerned to the food and beverage service personnel only. Before actually moving to the proper grooming standards, we must be aware about the common hygiene standards of an F&B service personnel, and how come an F&B service personnel will be able to maintain their hygiene standards including their health. Because as we know very well, in hotel industry the F&B service personnel will have to work for the long hours. So according to me, the hotel F&B service personnel must have to be physically as well as mentally fit. And how come that physical and the mental healthness is going to come? For that we'll have to maintain some hygienic standards. Let's discuss some of these hygienic standards. The first is we have to do the exercise regularly. So here, if we have been talking about doing the exercise, here we are basically focusing on the cardiovascular exercise only, which is some of the examples are running, jogging, cyclings. Because if you will do some weight exercise, then your physical structures will become quite very bulky, which is basically not acceptable for F&B service personnel. Next is by doing the exercise, it is not only help you to keep you mentally fit, along with that it will also increase your stamina to work for the long hours. Next, the second important thing is, while working in F&B service personnel, you should not be either underweight, you should not be overweight. For keeping the weight under the check, you will have to do the exercise regularly. Along with that, you must eat the balanced diet. And in order to keep you refreshed all the times, you have to drink a lots of waters. You need to eat lots of salads, fruits and vegetables on a daily basis. And these things you will have to follow uh, regularly, and you will have to make it as a discipline. Next is, before actually reporting to the duty, you will have to take the bath. And whenever you are using any kind of a deodorant, the that deodorant has to be light. You should not use a very intense, you can say that intense odor perfume, that is basically avoided. And the teeth should be brushed properly, and there should not be any bad odor. And if you have a kind of an bad odors coming out from your mouth, it means somehow, it is generally said medically, like you have been suffering from your stomach worm. For that, it would be as advisable, at least you should take the albendazole tablet, which that particular tablet is going to kill almost 4 to 5 different types of worms which is related to your stomach. If you have the white patches on your face, that is again an indications like you have been suffering from your stomach worm, so that has to be avoided. You will have to take a proper medications in order to remove this bad odor which has been coming out directly from your mouth. Because it is this particular thing is it is not acceptable at all. We have to wear clean and well pressed uniforms all the time, and that uniform should not have any kind of a stain. We should wash our hands properly every time we will visit the washrooms, and even after smoking also it is advisable to have some mouth freshener. If you have any visible cut, or if you have any injury in the visible part of your body, so that has to be plastered. Plasters mean that has to be covered with some handy plast kind of a thing. And in front of the guest, you should not pick your nose, and you should not run your fingers around your hair, so that has to be avoided because it quite looks very unhygienic. Now if we talk individually about the grooming standards of male, first of all we are focusing on the male. And while focusing on the male, we are starting from the top till bottom. If we talk about the hair, the hair of the male has to be trimmed properly. It should be short, it should at all the time should be well combed. As far as the length of the hair is concerned, from the back side, the length of your hair should be 1 inch away from your shirt collar. So from the back side, your hair should not touch your shirt collar. There should be at least 1 inch of a gap in between the length of your hair from the back end with that of your shirt collar. And try to avoid using excessive of hair cream or gel or any kind of a spray, because in the long run it is going to bring out a very damaging effect as far as your hair is concerned, or maybe you will suffer from hair fall once you are going to get some age. So try to avoid using excessive kind of an cream or any kind of a spray or any kind of a gel. Try to keep it simple only. Generally, if we talk about the beards, so beards are basically not permitted, but yes, due to some religious issues, due to some religion, you can say that thing, like for the Punjabis and all that, maybe they are basically allowed to keep the beards, but not for all. And every time whenever you actually report for the duty, you have to be clean shaved. And if you are having the mustache, that mustache has to be well trimmed, and it should not fall below the lip line. As far as the sideburn is concerned, it should not be too short, and it should not be too longer. It should not be too longer so that it can go beyond your earlobes, and it should not be shorter so that it can go on the top of your ear. So these two things you have to keep in your mind while in concern to the sideburns. Now let's talk about something more which is related to the grooming standards of the male. As far as the nail is concerned, the nail has to be thoroughly trimmed, and it should be cleaned all the time. As far as the belt is concerned, it should be very simple, formal, having a very simple buckle, and it is better like your belt is of leather and black in color, made up of leather and black in color. And if you have an habit of wearing the wristwatch, that wristwatch should also be simple only. The dial of the wristwatch should be simple and should be elegant. It should not be of sporty kind of a look, should not be there. Your shirt, your trouser, the tie or even the bow tie, waistcoat or the apron, whichever the uniform that you have been wearing, that particular uniform has to be cleaned, well ironed. And if we go further, then as far as the shoes is concerned, you have to wear the low heeled Oxford shoes only, and you always have to wear the clean socks. And if you have the problem of coming out of the bad odor from your feet, then it would be as advisable for you to buy any foot powder from the medical stores and try to apply the foot powders, because that could be a kind of a fungal problem is there, that is due to the spread of the fungus. Basically, if we talk about the tattoos are not permitted, and the tattoos are basically no when we talk about in the visible surface or the body part. So some of you try to avoid creating any kind of a tattoo on any part of your body part which is basically visible to the guest. No ear studs for the male is permitted. Generally, no bracelets is also permitted. If you are wearing any kind of a pendant or any kind of a chain, then it should be wear in such a way so that it will not be remain visible to the guest from the outside. Now let's talk about the grooming standards for female F&B service personnel. Here, as it was there in the case of the boys, here the hair should be combed back, should be well trimmed, and should not cover the forehead. The hair should be tied to make into bun, and it has to be covered with a net. If the hair is short, then it is advisable to have the ponytail. As far as the color of the hair is concerned, use of the artificial color or maybe the coloring of the hair is not allowed. It is not permitted. The hair has to be natural in color only. As far as the makeup is concerned, there should be light makeup with foundation. eyeliner should be used, and the color of the lipstick is either the female supposed to use the neutral color or the medium shaded color. Dark shaded color and some vibrant color is not allowed, and heavy or brightly colored makeup is also to be avoided. Now talking about the rest of the grooming standards which is applicable to female, their hands and the toenails supposed to be well trimmed, supposed to be well cleaned. If the hand nails are long, so it has to be trimmed properly to be given a proper shape. The nail polish should be used with light or neutral shades color only. Jewelry is allowed, but it has to be in a minimum side only. No large or hanging or noisy jewelry to be worn. Ring, only one on each hand is allowed. Simple bracelet or bangles can be worn. Only one ear studs are to be worn. As far as the wristwatch is concerned, it has to be either having the leather or metal strap. Uniform has to be cleaned and should be well ironed. The perfume should be avoided, and if deo or deodorant has to be used, it should not be of intense odor. And as far as the shoes is concerned, there should be low heeled bellies.